think that they've done anything differently. I think that we've planned from this for these types of tragedies and possibilities right from the beginning.
You know, it's interesting, Mr. Loomis, because our field producer on the ground there in Cleveland just kind of sent us a list of the things that are banned inside the secure area around the convention. I mean, the list is really long, including everything from, you know, from water bottles to tennis balls. I mean, is this standard operating procedure, or have things been added to the list because of events in recent months and years?
No, I think historically this is a pretty consistent list with the RNCs and DNCs. You know, the tennis balls are annoying to the horses, you know, so that's why they don't want horses running wild and stomping people. Umbrellas and things like that. You know, what is troubling is that you can't have a tennis ball in here, but you can have a gun, an automatic weapon, an open carry. It's perfectly legal, but highly irresponsible at this point for anybody on both sides of this equation to have a gun with them. It's going to make our job much more difficult.
Yeah, which was my next question. You can have a tennis ball, or you cannot have a tennis ball, but you can have a gun, which is, you know, clearly disturbing to some people and not to others. But the question remains, what is your biggest concern? Is it the protesters you're worried the most about come Monday, or is it some outside force?
Well, you know, from a street level and the uniformed officers out there, certainly the protesters, and it's not just the protesters, it's the supporters as well. You know, our main goal is to get everybody home in the same condition that they came here in. The police officers, the protesters themselves, the Trump supporters themselves. That's an ideal world, and that's really what we're working for here. Two very, very passionate groups of people on opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to their ideologies, and the last thing that we need is them to have weapons involved and thrown into that mix. It's just going to take attention away from where we need to have our attention, and that would be the possibility of a bad guy wanting to do people harm.
Yeah, but expound on that, if you will, because you talked about two very sets of passionate people. When do those passions cross the line? Have your officers been trained to say, look, there is a fine line between freedom of speech and then crossing over? What is exactly stepping across the line, in your opinion?
Well, in our opinion, anything physical. You know, this is a great country. I was in the United States Navy, and I was all around the world, and no better place in the world to live. You can come here and you can say whatever it is that you want to say and make your point, but you can't throw bricks at the police. You can't try to hurt each other physically. You can't try to destroy our city. And the city of Cleveland is a wonderful place to live. They've turned the corner. There's great things going on in the city. And the people in Northeast Ohio and the residents of the city are not going to tolerate that. And the police chief is not going to tolerate that. Deputy Chief Ed Tomba has done a fantastic job in planning this thing and ensuring that everybody is going to go home in the same condition that they came to work in, or they came, and that includes spectators. There's going to be a lot of people that just want to come down and see what's going on. Yeah. We're going to keep every one of them as safe as we possibly can, and the men and women of the Cleveland Police Department are going to step up and rise up to that occasion, as well as the officers that have come literally from all over the country to help us in that.
I'm curious, Detective, what do you plan for, though? Because I know that the estimates about the numbers of people that could be there they're all over the spectrum. So what are you planning for? Is there a number? Is there a range? What's the parameters for your department?
Well, you know, nobody can really read tea leaves. So what we plan for is to be able to identify whatever the issues are that come up very, very quickly and respond to them very, very quickly, very, very fairly, very, very respectfully. We're gonna identify an issue, have a talk with a person or a group, and make sure that they understand the ramifications if they go any further than where they are right now, and that's fair. You know, we don't deserve to have rocks thrown at us. There's two very passionate groups of people, and the police officers are going to be standing in the middle of them to make sure that they're going to go home in the same condition that they came in.
Have you done any preemptive policing, Mr. Loomis? I mean, is there a point in this process where you talk to the leaders of these groups and say, okay, here are the ground rules going forward?
Yes, that's been going on for months, if not years. We have a very good faith-based leadership here in the city of Cleveland and Northeast Ohio. We have very good legitimate community leaders. We have some not so legitimate, but we have legitimate community leaders, and we're all on the same page. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. Here locally, we don't want to see the city, any damage to the city. And, we're more concerned about outsiders coming in that really don't have those concerns or those passions, and we're going to deal with them very, very, very abruptly if they try to get physical here. The chief has a policy, a very public policy, one rock, one arrest. And, we're going to be ready, willing, and able to enforce that, but hopefully we don't have to go down that road.
Detective Stephen Loomis. Detective, we wish you and your department well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.